Yes. Yes. Hello, it's me, British Hoops. I'm back. I've barely ever been on the podcast, but it's nice to be here. My friend British Teeson's been on so much more. But here I am. How are you doing? Did you ever have a great St. Crispin's season?
Indeed.
Indubitably is how I would say it, yes.
How was yours?
Oh, it was quite lovely.
Yeah?
Yes, the whole crew was there. British Schneck, British Cushman, British Ethan.
Nice.
And the others.
And the others,
all the
course.
British versions of us.
Nice.
How do you do?
I do well, thank you. How do you do?
Very fine. Very fine.
I apologize for my brazenness, but where is this going, British Hoops?
Well, you've got to say something witty, and then I'll say, oh, yes, very witty, very droll.
Oh, I get it, because wit's all been done before. That's where this is going, I see.
Yeah, that's the song you're doing. Actually, we're doing. I'm your new co-host.
Oh, no. I kind of think I'd like
Big
Danny
news
back,
this
please.
episode. And it's that I, British Hoops, am here.
Yikes.
Permanently.
Oof.
So it's all been done before. Yeah, we do something like death, and then we dig it up just to do it some more.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sadie Hawkins' pod.
Yes, hello, it's me, your new co-host,
No,
British Hoops.
I don't know what that intro was.
I was just going to get into something like, oh yes, very witty, very droll, but you weren't giving me anything. If you said the most basic thing, I was going to be, oh yes, very witty.
Gotcha.
That's British Hoops.
Gotcha.
Right.
You have a game up on your phone right now. It's very
I
distracting.
do. Sorry. I was playing Pickcross and I didn't close it. I didn't think about the idea of there being an entire British Relient K parallel universe.
Amazing.
I have to create all the characters.
Wow.
All the British characters from all the iterations of the band. Dave, Brian, Warren, the Air for Free guys that we never talk about.
Right.
We're gonna figure all them out. Anyway, yes, so welcome back to the podcast. April's having a drink. You enjoying yourself? So, episode's out late this week. Should we bury the lead? You want to bury
which
the
to
lead?
bury? Us or the lead?
Us or the lead. So if you've been following us on social media, I guess we'll just put it out there on Front Street. If you've been following us on social media, then we have very good news. We are pregnant. It's finally happened. We've been talking about it for a while. We had trouble. We struggled. We had difficulty, conceiving for many years. And so we've been we opened up and we mentioned it. So it's finally happening.
That's right.
You're the one who's pregnant. You talk about it. Jessica's been
IVF really
throwing
came
up.
through for us.
Yes.
They have been, thanks.
All I know is that it's not that hard on me. I just sit there on the couch and every once in a while I hear in the next room, and I'm like, oh, you okay? I'll come hold your hair in a second. Let me finish this round of Pickcross. So, yeah,
I'm finally to the second trimester. The nausea is supposed to die down a little. Didn't today, though.
Yeah, we've been pregnant for a while. We've been pregnant for a while.
We're 14
but we didn't want to
weeks.
talk about it forever.
Right.
So now we're ready to talk about it. So thank you to everyone who's prayed for us, who
Thank
sent
you
us
so
your
much.
thoughts and everything. We're due in July, which is coincidentally mathematically when we would run out of Relient K songs.
Oh my goodness.
So Relient K has to conceive of more music.
It's true. Absolutely.
But the other news is that, like, because of our lives getting super busy, we're still devoted to doing this podcast, but we're going to slightly restructure what we're doing. Because obviously these episodes come out later and later in the week.
We don't want to keep
Every night
putting
this
out.
week, we were like, hey, do we record tonight? No. Monday night, do we record? No. Tuesday night, do we record? No. Wednesday night, do we record? Later and later all the time.
Dan works in accounting, so
my
the beginning
job,
of the year is really, really
my
busy
new job
for him.
is getting more and more challenging in good ways. So to give us more space to breathe, and also because we're getting towards the end of the Relient K song list, we have 6 months worth of direct material left. We've decided to April's not happy with this decision, but we're decided to go every 2 weeks for the foreseeable future. But we're going to ramp up what's happening on Patreon. It doesn't ultimately reduce the number of episodes. No, it does reduce the number of episodes we do. But we're finding it an incredible struggle to record every week and record 2 Patreons. It's already almost the 20th, and we don't have a single Patreon episode this week. So,
my gosh, you're
patrons... Right. And people who aren't patrons, if you're going to miss us, if we're going to this twice a week format, join up at Patreon, because basically it's going to be like you never miss us. It's going to be
still get your 2 episodes.
It's going to be regular free episode on a song, Patreon episode the next week. The week after that, regular free episode on a song, in that cycle. So instead of like us... Yeah, like trying to find time to record regular episodes and then taking all month to record Patreon episodes, we're basically going to give the patrons a more stable, I hope to give our child a stable rearing. Now we're going to give our patrons a more stable, reliable thing where you're going to get a Patreon episode every 2 weeks.
A more stable, reliable Jay. Exactly.
Yes. Hey, Reliable Jay, Josh, you're out there. It's been a while. Now's the time to step up. You can, usurp us. We're weak. We're hobbling to the finish line. Anyway, well, I'm so excited. We're super excited, and it's amazing that we're pregnant. And we made it official. We announced it on Facebook. Jessica's not on Facebook. I announced it on Facebook. Got tons and tons of likes and mentions and comments from people, and
thank you all for all of your good vibes and thoughts and prayers you've sent. Thank you so much.
Thanks to everybody. And how are you feeling, Jess? How are you feeling?
Excited. So excited.
Good.
A little sick, but excited.
We've seen the ultrasounds, and we've been wanting to talk about it with everybody, but we couldn't. We were waiting. Especially after, if you listen to the history of why this has been such a big deal and we've been waiting so long, we wanted to make sure to wait until it felt right to talk about it. Yeah. And this is the right time.
I'm still getting used to it. I'm still sort of holding back my emotions.
It's funny because we were being kind of guarded with our emotions as we were working through you were working through the first trimester. But, once we officially announced it, and I put it on Facebook, and Jessica put this picture together, if you saw it on our social media, where it says, Baby Leary rocking onto the scene, July 2023, and then Jessica bought an off-brand, a Redbubble bootleg onesie.
There's no Relient K official onesies, at least not right now.
Right. So we made it a big tie. There's so many ways we could have announced it, but we made it a tie-in with the podcast. You know what I mean? And that's surprising when you consider that we hardly ever spend time recording this podcast anymore. It's not a big part of our life anymore. I'm just kidding. We're gonna get serious about it.
You're all still a big part of our lives.
I feel like now that we've announced it, we can start to I don't know. It's almost like I was in a waiting pattern. I didn't want to do much until we could really announce it and everything. Right. And now we're gonna get back.
It's
and
always
get serious about
iffy until you get to the second trimester.
So we posted this picture of the little Relient K onesie, and you know who liked it on Facebook, because I'm Facebook friends with him? Mike Herrera. And I'm like, awkward.
I was going to get an MXPX onesie, because there's official ones, but they were sold out when I went to the MXPX store.
Yeah, because we didn't want to buy anything until we got closer to the period where we were going to announce it. We were actually at a store the other day, and Jessica saw this really beautiful mushroom onesie. It's just nice artwork of a mushroom patch. And she's like, I want this, but we can't buy it yet. It's still too early. Yeah. Now we got to go back to that store. But we had the Relient K thing, and I haven't even announced it really on MXPX memes, but Mike Herrera, since I'm Facebook friends with him, he liked it, and I'm like, awkward. I didn't make an MXPX themed baby announcement, which I've seen plenty of around the internet because I'm friends with lots of people in the lots of big movers and shakers in the MXPX fandom.
Oh, good. Then I'm glad that we were unique and did Relient K instead.
Yeah. How many Relient K baby announcements are there? I don't know. Probably a bunch. And we're just not tuned into them. So it's been an exciting time, and we're going to get back into it. So now, enough of that modeling stuff. Enough of that. We'll see. Well, you'll be on the journey with us as Jessica's pregnant. She's going to be complaining about it when we're talking about my cape is stuck in a phone booth. What else do we have left? We're talking about
William. Did we do that? No,
yeah,
we did
that. We're talking about If You Believe Me. Jessica's going to be like, I don't want to talk about this song. You did this to me.
I don't think that happens until the delivery.
Oh, okay. Well, here is a voicemail. Now we're getting into the regular part of the episode.
April was letting us know we needed to get back on track.
Here is a voicemail. So last week was our Sadie Hawkins dance second part two. Second part two, which is not what it was. It was a part two. I don't know if this voicemail has to do with that, but this is Sean from Pennsylvania calling. So let's hear what Sean has to say.
Hey, Danny and Jess. This is Sean from Allentown. Just finished listening to the Sadie Hawkins dance part two. Didn't get my call in before that, and I just thought I'd share some thoughts while they're still fresh in my mind. So I don't know if I ever mentioned this before, but Sadie Hawkins dance was specifically a very important, seminal moment in my life as a music fan and everything. When I was a kid, first time I heard this song, it must have been spring or summer of 2002. So not long after the album came out. It was used in a video at the private school that I went to. The teacher for the quote unquote high school kids who were graduating and everything had put together a video, and he used Sadie Hawkins dance as the music in it. And, being only 11 years old at this point, growing up in a Christian home, the coolest thing I had heard at this point was Audio Adrenaline. Okay. I had never heard anything at all that sounded remotely like Relient K at that point, or Sadie Hawkins dance, pop punk, whatever.
What'd you say he thought he said?
I thought he said Life in General.
Life in General. That is a cool album. Not cool enough to make it a part of our baby announcement. But he said Audio Adrenaline. Now, I was only vaguely interested in Audio Adrenaline. I was like, oh yeah, they're a rock band. I'm already into cool music.
I always get Audio Adrenaline and Alkaline Trio confused. In my head, they're the same band, right?
I got a Photoshop. Oh man, they're so distant. Yeah,
oh no.
It's me, Matt Skiba, lead singer of Audio Adrenaline. It's a big house or something. It's a big house filled with the devil. Filled with vampires.
Does Audio Adrenaline do that? It's a big house with lots and lots of room.
No, I don't think they do. I think I messed that up. Hold on.
Okay.
No, I was right.
Oh, okay, nice.
I'll leave in where I doubted myself, but yeah, that's Audio Adrenaline. I was vaguely aware of Audio Adrenaline from being in youth group and stuff, but I only liked cool bands. I already liked real music before I went to youth group, so yes, I already liked real music before I went to youth group. But so I only liked the cool bands in the Christian scene. Oh, well, Schneck was in Audio Adrenaline.
Yeah.
He was in the live, so he was only in. So I guess I didn't give them a chance. I should have given them a chance. Now I know that they did someone told me oh, you like the Supertones, right? See, I only like cool Christian bands like the Supertones.
Wow.
But so it was you like the Supertones, right? I'm like, yeah. And it's the Supertones were on an Audio Adrenaline song, and I was like, oh, okay. So I downloaded that from Napster, just that one song. Some kind of monster, or that's the Metallica song. I don't know. Anyway.
April's super offended that you're getting the songs wrong, Danny.
But what I'll say is, 1 year at Soulfest, Audio Adrenaline was either headlining or they were second or third to last. And, I was usually spent my time at Soulfest at the cool skate park stage with Stretch Armstrong and Roper and cool bands like that. But I did check out a little bit of Audio Adrenaline, and they had an amazing stage show with like these giant like columns that shot giant pillars of smoke straight into the air, and then they like came out like rocking really hard, and I'm like, and at this point I'm like 22. I'm older than Sean Calling, and I was like, if I was Christian, I am Christian, but I was like, if I was more sheltered Christian and I was 8 and I came here, I would be like, this is the greatest fucking band I've ever seen. Because at that moment, I was totally swept up. I'm like, I don't know any of these songs. Are they going to play the song with horns that they did with the Supertones?
That's how I felt about Coldplay when I saw them in like 2006, 2007.
The greatest Christian band of all time.
Exactly. No, but they had an awesome stage show, and now I've seen way cooler stuff because I've seen Alice Cooper live. So,
literally a Christian artist, although not a artist of Christian work.
And I'm hearing this, and it blew my little 11-year-old mind. And I was just like, whatever this is, I need more of it. And so that was like just the beginning of my journey with Relient K, pop punk, being a music fan, and all that stuff. So yeah, Sadie Hawkins Dance is really, really important for me. So I'm glad you guys finally got around to it, and I could, call and share my thoughts on that. Just one other quick thought about the song itself. The line where it's saying his ears are burning. I only just realized this in the past year or whatever, but I wonder if it's a reference to, isn't there an idiom or something where people say, my ears are burning, it means someone's talking about me? So is that maybe why Matt's ears are burning?
Yes, I didn't think to talk about that, but that is that idiom. That is what that means.
Yeah.
I don't know, I've known that idiom for a long time, since I was a kid. The main use of it in movies that I can think of, and I don't know if this is not movies, but movies and television. The main use of that I can think of, that might be where I learned it, was in the episode of The Simpsons where Jay Sherman, the critic, comes to town, and A Star Is Burns is the name of the episode, and they're talking about what a great guy Jay Sherman is. And then Homer walks by and he says, my ears are burning. And they're like, oh, we weren't talking about you, Dad. He's like, no, my ears are really burning. I wanted to see inside, so I lit a Q-tip. And then a little bit of smoke comes out of Homer's ear. I think I might have turned to my parents and been like, what does that mean? And then they said, oh, your ears are burning means you passed by someone who was talking about you. It's the original version of subtweeting. Nowadays, ears are burning is called subtweeting.
All the girls are talking in the bathroom. His ears are burning because, one of them's talking about him, who they're going to ask the Sadie Hawkins. And that's why he's smiling and rocking his air guitar, because he knows someone's going to ask him. I don't know, just a thought. Real quick also, shout out to a guy called from Dover, Ohio. That's actually where I grew up. When I was a kid, it's actually where I heard Relient K for the first time. Grew up in the 90s and the very early aughts. Yeah, he's right. There's not much going on in Dover. And when Relient K was climbing through the ranks and everything, it was really cool for us to have a band that was from so close, that was getting big and everything. We absolutely claimed them. We claimed everything that was getting popular from Columbus, east. So John Rubin, 21 Pilots, Relient K, we claim all those guys.
And Sean got cut off, but he calls back. However, yes, I agree entirely. That is what that idiom is referring to. When he's walking by, I think that the ears are burning idiom means two things. It means you actually hear someone talking about you, like, ooh, my ears are burning. But also it can mean you think someone's talking about you.
Right.
Are my ears burning? And then you're like, no, I'm not talking about you. So in that case, I didn't think about talking about this when we were talking about Sadie. The 2 episodes, the 3.5 hours we talked about Sadie Hawkins Dance total. But almost 4 hours, I think. But yeah, in this case, it's his ears aren't burning in the sense that the girls in the bathroom probably aren't talking about him. But he's picking up his ears because he's like, "Ooh, is one of the girls in the bathroom talking about me?" That is what that is. Yeah. That is, I think, that is exactly what is. Or maybe
he hears someone mention him, and then that's why he's got a smile on his face, and he's air guitar rocking.
Maybe the girl so stunning was in the bathroom talking about him, and she's like, "I want to ask that guy who's good with talking," and his ears are burning, but he couldn't see her through the door, and then they catch up by the end of the song in the hallway. That's sweet. Think about that. That ties things together. So here's Sean calling back, talking about Dover. I think he'll still be talking about Dover.
The hills of Dover?
Sorry, guys, got cut off. I just had one more real quick thought. Just wanted to reiterate. What he was trying to correct you was the pronunciation of the little town called Bolivar. Bolivar. It's pronounced Bolivar. Yeah, anyone's from there knows that. Don't feel bad, Jess. There's a lot of... You go anywhere, there's towns that are not pronounced the way you think they should be, so don't feel bad.
Yeah, Bon Iver. I've heard of him. He was on the Taylor. He did his feature on the Taylor Swift album recently. I'm familiar.
I felt the exact same way whenever I moved to different parts of Pennsylvania. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Just wanted to share my Sadie Hawkins dance story. Oh, one more thing. As far as an actual Sadie Hawkins dance, I can only recall it was either when I was in middle school or high school. They did hold one. I can't remember exactly when it was. And I don't remember actually going, so I don't think I got asked. But, it is what it is. So that's how it goes. It was, I do recall, there was a whole thing, like they would go to a store and buy matching t-shirts and everything, because that's what it was, like the deal. You match your date, so you know who you came with. But other than that, I don't really have anything else. And once again, shout out to the guy from Dover, from where I'm from, represent. So, thanks again, guys. I'm still listening. I still love the podcast. And keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great. Thanks. Bye.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for calling. Thanks for giving us your Sadie Hawkins dance story.
Yeah, I was hoping for more Sadie Hawkins dance stories, but I mean, I don't know if it's just not a thing that people do that often. By the way, the voicemail from last week that was really choppy, the person from Dover, Ohio, it was Harry. Harry _TOLHURST_IV for 4. I DM'd him after the case, and Google Translate or Google Voice transcript said his name was Jerry, and then it was like the Laurel. What was that? Laurel and Hardy or Laurel and Canyon? What was that thing?
What?
The blue dress, white dress audio thing. You know those things? Oh, right. Laurel and Yanny. Laurel and Yanny. Yeah, it was a Laurel and Yanny thing where I could hear Jerry and I could hear Harry, but then from context I just went to our followers and looked for all the Jerrys and all the Harrys, and there was one Harry, and it was the Harry who called us, and the voicemail.
How many
was all
Jerrys
choppy.
were there?
There were 0 Jerrys, I think.
Go figure.
Unless there's one Jerry out there and he's like, what about me? So he said, sorry, my audio was so bad. I was calling the way I usually do while driving, and my friends tell me it's all right. So I didn't think it would be that bad. Anyways, love the commentary on it. I can clear anything else up you need. I think we sussed out everything more or less correctly from that voicemail last week. It was just fun. It was a fun game of literal telephone. And I don't know where the Google Voice Nebraska... because 40295 Sadie is a Nebraska phone number that we got from Google Voice, so I don't know what server is receiving that phone call. So it could have been it could have been on Google Voice's end in Nebraska, not on Harry's side in Ohio. Although aren't Ohio and Nebraska right next to each other? I don't know anything about any state other than New York and California. I'm one of those big Hollywood bigwigs. I just fly back and forth between the only 2 cities that matter. I'm just kidding. I love Boston. I love Boston.
Yes, that you do.
Boston's the only city that matters. We have dynasties, and we don't cheat. And if you think we cheat, it's because you're a sore loser.
Oh, boy.
I'm completely kidding. I don't really care about Boston sports that much. Anyway, I'm sure that got some people heated. I actually don't care if it turns out that the Patriots really were cheating. If there's proof about it, I don't care. Whatever. It's sports. I'm a nerd. Nerds don't like sports. Because sports have been done before. So I don't care about sports.
Oh, there you go. Tying it all back.
Tying it back to the big song this week. Probably one of the biggest Relient K songs of all time.
Indeed.
Wit's All Been Done Before. Weird title. Weird song.
It's the classic Relient K play on words, because it's all been done before and your wit has been done before.
Right. So this is a song that was originally on the Employee of the Month EP, which was the EP that promoted and tied in with Two Lefts Don't Make a Right, but Three Do. This song turned up again on Bird and the B-Sides, and as we'll get into, there are major mix and master differences between the Employee of the Month version and the Bird and the B-Sides version.
I actually didn't listen to the Employee of the Month version.
Yeah, it's hard to listen to. So unlike what we talk about every time we go over an Anatomy song or a Two Left song, you have the gold mix from 2005 of those records, and then you have the original mixes that aren't on streaming. And for the most part, we prefer the original CD mixes when those CDs were originally printed. In this case, with Bird and the B-Sides, we went over it for sure with For the Band. There was an actual editing of the lyrics between the Employee of the Month version of For the Band and what's on Bird and the B-Sides. And then I made a post about it this week. I was just thinking about Vinyl Countdown. Oh, actually, I was thrown off, and I thought that this song was from Vinyl Countdown. But no, I was like, no, it's from Employee of the Month. So then I started thinking about the original vinyl of Vinyl Countdown, and how, the songs are mastered way different on those songs. And I'm not convinced that the vocal take on Vinyl Countdown wasn't completely redone for Bird and the B-Sides. Well, we're talking about What's All Been Done Before, and it's nothing like that. It is absolutely the same studio tracks, same instrumentation, same vocal takes, everything, but they just made some real big changes between the Employee of the Month version and then when it showed up on Bird and the B-Sides, it would be 5 years later. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But this was originally just like a B-side. This was kind of a rare track, something that was not on the album, something you only had if you had a copy of the Employee of the Month EP, which we talk about the EPs that promoted the first 4 albums. Each one of those EPs in sequence was kind of easier and easier to get commercially. Like the original EP for the self-titled album was 2000 ADD. Wasn't easy to get your hands on then. Pretty much just the merch table and Relient K's merch table and their website. Same thing with the Creepy EP. I don't think you could get that commercially. I think you got it on, you got it as a promo, as a giveaway at festivals or at Relient K's merch table or on their website. Employee of the Month EP was available in stores. I think it was even bundled in with some retail versions of Two Lefts Don't Make a Right, but Three Do. And then, of course, Apathetic EP, which is kind of the last of the EP cycle of releasing an EP to tie together with an album. Apathetic EP was just literally just commercially available. It wasn't a promotional EP. It was just an actual EP that came out after and broke that cycle of promotional EPs to tie in. So I'm sure a lot more people had copies of the Employee of the Month EP than had copies of, Creepy EP, the original Creepy EP, and 2000 ADD. I have them all.
I think that it makes sense that this is a First Three Gear song. It's just the plight of any artist. Right. It's clever, but there's still less maturity to it. And it's an obvious statement, one everyone's made.
Right.
So
Real Big Fish has made a career of the statement that this song makes.
so
I have nothing to say, and no band has anything to say. That is that is Real Big Fish's like entire oeuvre.
That's their mission statement.
That's their mission statement. That's right. And Real Big Fish and Relient K, right near each other alphabetically on your iPod or in the store.
That's right. And I don't know about because I didn't actually listen to the Employee of the Month version, but with the Bird and the B-Sides version, it's a classic pop punk song. Mm-hmm. It does that stop thing in the chorus.
It does. It's more of that dun dun dun.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more masked because the bass and the drums continue on, but the guitars are going dun dun dun.
I think aside from Deck the Halls, Bruise Your Hand, it's probably the most Blink-182 sounding song Relient K has. It has that like Blink bass sound to it.
I think it sounds it's funny that the song itself is about how originality is almost impossible to actually achieve. And we'll get more into that theme. But it's funny that that's the theme of the song when the song itself kind of sounds like Mutt from Enema of the State, and the song also kind of sounds like College Kids to me.
Oh yeah,
not like a one-to-one. Like it sounds more like Mutt by Blink-182 than it does College Kids. But if this was a contender to be on the album and it got pushed off to the EP, there's a number of reasons I think that happened. But I think one of them is it opens up almost exactly the same as College Kids. And it just kind of hits the same tonal chord as College Kids.
And one of those songs is way better than the other.
Yeah, well, College Kids is a completely sound, cohesive concept. And I think that's the number one reason why this song got pushed off as B-side material is I think that there's a very clear thematic idea that Matt Thiessen was grappling with when he wrote this song, but I think that the ultimate product, this song, is kind of muddled and confused and doesn't use the tool set of words to actually get across that idea properly, which could be the ultimate art of the song, that the song itself in its message is kind of lost. It's really funny because it reminds me a lot of what we talked about with Operation. So Operation was a B-side for Anatomy of the Tongue-in-Cheek. It's, on the back end of the Anatomy First Three Gears box set, but it was originally on 2000 ADD. No, sorry, it was not. It was on the Creepy EP. But in the Operation episode, we debated, was this actually a cut track from the self-titled era that they just kind of used to flesh out the Creepy EP? Because Operation is I was like, oh, this is, just to summarize our Operation, because I went back and listened to the episode to make sure I was remembering this correctly. We basically said, like, this is a fun and bouncy song, and musically it kind of makes sense as a Relient K song, but the entire, like, concept of where Matt Thiessen sat down is like, I'm going to make a song about how God is a hospital. And you're like, what? And like nothing actually paid, and like exactly what he's trying to say, but when we cut into those lyrics, pun completely intended, we're like, wow, this doesn't hold up at all. This just feels really amateurish, and it makes sense that they pushed it to a B-side. Well, I feel a similar way about What's All Been Done Before, but you can see a progression. I think this is a more mature and more earnest and successful failure than was Operation. I think Operation, on a thematic lyrical level, was pretty much a failure. I think What's All Been Done Before is Operation wasn't really worth saying. God is a hospital. God's a doctor. God's going to operate on my heart. Like, yeah, I get it. Like, fifth graders could write that as a metaphor for God. Like, it felt very immature and not even a quarter baked. But What's All Been Done Before, I can feel that he actually had something to say. He really has something to say. And whether that's like a burnout from trying to write, at this point, 3 albums worth of material, or it's just like they've been touring a lot and just like getting into music and being a part of the music scene and following your dream and starting to feel like maybe there's no goal to reach, and feeling like you can't ever like really say anything new and fresh, and having that like anxiety and putting it into a song that is about how originality and like becoming an artistic success is a really silly goal. Like feeling that our anxiety as an artist, a bit like, will I ever say anything that's worth saying? Will I ever do anything that everyone else hasn't already done? Like, that's a real anxiety when you're an artist. So I can feel that this song, unlike Operation, this song is actually trying to say something that is worth saying. But then, like, the irony or the opposite of irony, the whatever, is that the song itself
has been done so many times.
Has been done before.
And maybe that's part of the intention, but maybe not.
Right.
I don't know.
And when we get into the lyrics are just very scattershot around that concept. But unlike Operation, where it's just like, oh, you've lost too much blood to tell, the blood is your sin or whatever, I get it. Like, unlike that, like I feel like every individual stanza, every individual movement, every individual line of lyrics is perfectly okay on its own, but when you put it together into this whole song, it doesn't lyrically, like, the concepts don't move you from one to the other. It's almost like someone who is really dealing with writer's block singing about how they have writer's block, but then you can definitely feel how they have writer's block, because none of the individual lines of lyrics feel like they really fully belonged together. But we'll get into that in a little bit. I just, College Kids, Mutt, that's what it, and you're right, it sounds the most Blink-182-ish of most any other song. So you want to get into the lyrics, or you want to get into the differences between the two versions?
Let's get into the differences between the two versions, just in case there's any lyrical differences.
Okay, and there are no lyrical differences.
Oh, okay.
Not that I could tell. So the two big differences, now I feel like everyone canonically has heard the Burn and the B-Sides version. So I'll just go ahead and play the two major differences. And it's clearly like leveling changes between both songs. And, I'll say, like, unlike the gold versions of albums 2 and 3, where it's like you're just muddling with things that don't need to be muddled with. Like, the albums were good to start with. Like, these some of the changes on the 2005 gold mixes of albums 2 and 3 just aren't necessary. Here, however, I can tell, like, they really, like, just polished these EP songs before they put them on Bird and the B-Sides. In this case, I do think the Bird and the B-Sides remaster of What's All Been Done Before is superior. But, the vocals are a little bit more separate and a little higher up in the mix on the Employee version. But then the whole thing feels a little wetter. The Employee of the Month version just feels a little bit more wet. Feels a little bit more like muddled together. Like which is the opposite of most gold mix issues for the second and third album, where everything kind of gets jammed and compressed together when they remixed albums 2 and 3. Here they kind of did the opposite. I feel like everything's kind of blended too much together on the Employee of the Month EP, but then they kind of fixed that for Burn the B-Sides.
Okay.
So maybe they learned from the gold remixes 3 years earlier. But here's the first major difference on the Employee of the Month version, and that is that during the slow pretty part, they add these vocals that don't exist on the version that most people have heard.
Yeah, we do something to death, and then we dig it up just to do it some more.
So maybe you don't remember, because it feels natural, but the those are not on the Bird and the B-Sides version that everyone's heard. Here's the Bird and the B-Side version.
Yeah, we do something to death. some more.
The ahs are gone. So
Right.
they remove those ah part in the background.
Made it even more pop punk.
Yeah. And then here's the biggest change. Here's the most jarring change between what's all been done before on the original EP and what was on Bird and the B-Sides. Let me play this part from the Bird and the B-Sides version that everybody's heard. Let me play this part first.
Yeah, we do something to death, and then we dig it up just to do it some more. We're all getting tired of the media, 'cause it tries too hard to make you like something. 'Cause we're all getting tired of the media.
And now let's listen to that same little section on the EP version.
Yeah, we do something to death, and then we dig it up just to do it some more. We're all getting tired of the media, 'cause it tries too hard to make you like something. 'Cause we're all getting tired of the media.
So they put that weird telephone filter on that
Right.
section, which I'll say that the last 40 seconds of this song aren't fully necessary. Like, once you get to this part, you could have wrapped it up here, but there's still 40 seconds left.
Right.
And they go back to the chorus again, the whole media part, which we're going to get into. But it's funny that on the EP version, I wonder if they were unconfident of that last 40 seconds. They're like, we need to go back to the same refrain again to get us out of this and repeat it one more time to sort of balance this song. I don't feel like it was necessary. Like, they could have cut the last 40 seconds out of the song and not done that refrain again. But maybe they had both versions and they were like, no, both versions feel like they're missing. Both feel the version, like, this version feels like it's missing something without that last 40 seconds. We got to go back and repeat the all been tired of the media part again. But we're not confident about it, so let's put this weird radio telephone filter on it to kind of wake people up and be like, ooh, something different's happening. And then on that beat, we'll cut back in and turn that filter off. Well, then 5 years later, they're like, yeah, that was nonsense. So then they cut that filter out of there, and then they just have that little breakdown, oh, getting tired of the media, and then there's no telephone filter on it. It's really weird when I went back and listened to the Employee of the Month version and heard that filter. I'm like, whoa! It's the most jarring
They
change.
did a little bit of it in the Bird and the Bee side.
Well, they definitely, like, remove any... Let me hear how they do it on Bird and the B-Sides. Yeah, they
Maybe
leave...
he's just singing into that thing that
The
he likes.
vocoder thing?
Yeah.
Well, no, what they do on the Bird and the B-Sides version, instead of dropping the whole little breakdown section that's going to get us into the last 40 seconds, instead of washing that out in this telephone filter, they have the instrumentation sound normal. But they put his vocals in a slight filter, which is a little bit more effective. It's a little bit more effective than taking the entire song and I don't know what kind of effect you'd call that, just washing it out and making it sound all tinny. Yeah, it's really strange. And it's the opposite of how I felt about For the Band, where they took the song For the Band, and I think they possibly similarly became unconfident of the song For the Band, because towards the end, he's like, do everything for you know what. Like he was like unconfident of like repeating the words For the Band for the 20th time. So they used the lyrics for you know what instead of For the Band, like a little joke, like, oh, you know what, we said it 100 times in this song. Well, then they edit that little funny vocal take out of the Bird and the B-Sides version, so at the end he just says For the Band the 100th time. I didn't like that they removed that jokey version of the lyric as you get towards the end of the song. I was like, no, it's more fun when he says you know what. This case, I feel the exact opposite. I'm like, they tried to be clever, they tried to be witty by putting a telephone filter right before the last 40 seconds of the song, And it's in comparison to hearing it without it, it is just weird. Whatever.
Are you ready to go over the lyrics? Was
Definitely.
that all the difference?
Like I said, there's definitely other differences in the mix. There might be little echoes and little reverbs added and taken away between versions on different vocal takes, but that's just all that's the sliders on the mixing board. I can't tell the difference between everything, but those are the three major differences. I feel like the instruments are too compressed in the original version, which is the opposite of what you'd expect. And then you have the telephone filter right before the outro of the song, and you have the ahs during the slow pretty part. Weird differences. Maybe the most differences between A Bird and the B-side and its original appearance on the EP.
Gotcha. So verse 1, I wish I could innovate and try and stretch your minds, because oftentimes when guys like me do that, they leave themselves behind. To clean the mess, quick to impress, a little bit of everyone. But to innovate is a mistake, because there's nothing new under the sun.
Biblical reference right there. Song of Solomon.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There's nothing new under the sun. That's a Bible verse. Let me get that.
Well, you need to go over to Genius and annotate that, Danny, because it is
Oh.
not annotated. I'm reading the lyrics right off of Genius.
Oh, is it Ecclesiastes? I thought it was Song of Solomon. I was totally wrong. The Bible study. We're going to become a Bible study podcast when we run out of Relient K songs so we can get better at this. No, it's Ecclesiastes 1:9. I always thought it was Song of Solomon. I was totally wrong. What has been, this is the New International Version. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Very, very emo moment
Right,
from the
I've
Bible.
heard that, there's nothing new under the sun before. I thought it was just a figure of speech.
I mean, that's
very
an
interesting
idiom.
to know where it originates
Yeah,
from.
it originates from the Bible. It's funny. I don't know. That quote gets used a lot, and I think most people don't know it comes from the Bible. But I heard it from my mom, quoted as specifically a Bible verse, but always using it in the context of things that aren't necessarily worth describing in a biblical sense. Of this TV show, like the Bible says, she wouldn't say it this way, but this TV show, like the Bible says, nothing new under the sun. But that is, that she wouldn't say it that way. But that is where I heard it originally.
Pre-chorus, because we're all getting tired of the media because it tries too hard to make you like something.
So we're bouncing all around with ideas, and that's kind of what I was hinting at, is he feels like he's got a lot of targets in this song, and it kind of doesn't feel focused. He's like, what's all been done before, which is an okay pun. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the B sharps. It's funny the first time you hear it, and it's less and less funny every time you think about it. What's all been done before. It's like, okay, that sounds clever, but then the more you think about it, the less clever it feels. And then the song itself has too many targets. It targets itself. It targets other people trying to be creative. It targets fans and critics later who get mad at you for trying to be too original. It targets the media.
Lana Del Rey, let's just calm down for a minute.
So, because here he's like, I wish I could innovate. I wish I could innovate and try and stretch your minds. Because oftentimes when guys like me, I'm not sure what he means when guys like me do that, they leave themselves behind. So here he's kind of talking
Musicians,
about himself.
creatives, innovators.
Yeah. To clean a mess or to impress
Elon
a little
Musk.
bit of everyone.
I think Elon Musk has just always been him.
So it starts out kind of turning the finger inwards and kind of saying I could try to do something original and new, but I can't really do that. No one expects that from me. And even if I do that, people might not want that from me, which is true. A lot of artists will sometimes have, new places they want to go. There's the cliche of Spinal Tap Mark II, where they feel stale, the artist feels stale, so they do something kind of crappy and boring. That's the cliche. But sometimes an artist is just not even thinking about it that way. They're just oh, I have this other thing I want to do. And I'll do that. And then people get mad at them for doing it. I'm trying to think of some examples.
Collapsible lung?
Well, Collapsible Lung. There you go. That's just about the perfect example. This is a prequel to Collapsible Lung. I was actually thinking about the Angry Video Game Nerd. Like, this is random, but, like, when the Angry Video Game Nerd first came out, you know, in the mid-2000s...
That's even more niche than this podcast, Danny.
He's a top YouTuber now. I don't know, whatever. But when the Angry Video Game Nerd character first appeared on YouTube...
Being a top YouTuber means nothing. I couldn't name the top 5 YouTubers.
Mr. Beast. Mrs. Beast.
Oh, right. That's
Ms.
right.
Beast.
Ms. Mojo.
Ms.
Watch
Mojo.
Mojo.
Mojo Beast.
Everyone has their own little corners of YouTube that they stick to.
Yeah.
Like, no one knows who
And then-
like, the most popular. No one sits around and goes, let me watch the most popular video on YouTube today. I mean, maybe they do, but...
I did that once in a while, but then I'd be like, I'm not watching this. What is this? This is silly. I'm not watching that. You know, if Wits All Been Done before 2023 ends up on the next Relient K record, one of the targets could be YouTube algorithms, because we're all tired of YouTube algorithms because it tries too hard to make you watch something. Anyway,
You should go to miright.com, Danny. Write that down.
so what was I was saying something. I was getting on something, but you know, he's starting off that's right. So the Angry Video Game Nerd, when he started out, he was the character, the Angry Video Game Nerd, but then like about 3 years into his thing, he did a couple of videos where he was just himself, just his like old nerdy, he wasn't even old at the time, but he's just like kind of normal introverted guy self talking about stuff, and people were mad. People were mad at him for just showing up on the internet as himself and not in character. And now everyone's mad at him for no good reason all the time. But whatever. So it's like you do something slightly different, slightly outside the norm, and people get mad. It's not even like that big a change. It's just like, hi, I do a character on the internet. Here's me. How dare you? So artists are sometimes get trapped. Artists really get trapped. And a thing like Collapsible Lung, like, yeah, Collapsible Lung is a huge shift from... It's a huge shift sonically from what you expect from Relient K. But then, like, we've talked about it with all these different reviews that we see album to album. There are sonic changes between and 5 Score. There are big sonic changes between 5 Score and Forget and Not Slow Down, but they all feel like a progression. But then there are reviewers out there who will say, Forget and Not Slow Down is a giant departure from all of the previous Relient K sound. I'm like, yeah, if you compare 5 Score and 7 years ago to Anatomy, there's a big departure. But when you compare 5 Score... when we compare Forget and Not Slow Down to 5 Score, it doesn't feel like that big a departure. I don't know. Artists get trapped, and sometimes it's not fair when they're criticized for trying to do something different. But then in the bridge, which it's weird that the bridge is second. What does it say on...
We didn't even get to that part yet, because we're all getting tired of the media, because creating something new is just recycling.
Oh.
And then it goes into the chorus. Wits all been done before.
I'm on Song Meanings, and Song Meanings calls the "cause we're all getting tired of the media" part the bridge, which I'm like, that can't be the bridge, it's the second section of the song. Thanks a lot, Song Meanings, for making me look a fool.
Wits all been done before. Yeah, we do something to death, and then we dig it up just to do it some more. Verse 2. In all my lines of warning signs, but not all with dead ends. And I'm not sure the clever words all sit well with my friends. So this is about doing cocaine. Another victim fall. I'll just have to do what my gut tells me to and hope that you will buy it all.
Right.
Sell
So
out with me. Oh yeah, sell out with me tonight.
So let's go back to that pre-chorus. 'Cause we're all getting tired of the media. This is the first one. This is the first line where, like, the first time I heard that, I was like, oh, okay, I guess so. But to say we're all getting tired, the media, here's the thing. The word "the media" is such a politicized word in 2023.
Yeah.
In 2003, it probably meant something a little bit different.
How many MAGA rallies have this song on their playlist?
Oh no, I hope not. But when he's saying the media here, he's talking about pop culture media. He's talking about television shows.
He's not talking about the
MTV,
news.
the radio. He's not talking about news. He's not talking about documentaries. He's probably, I guess he's talking about movies, but he's talking about entertainment media. He's not talking about informational media. So it's a little strange, but even at the time, I don't, back then in 2003, I don't feel like when you said the media, it didn't, not everyone necessarily used that word in the same way.
Oh, wow. I just realized this is from a song is from 20 years ago.
So, moving on from that, to say
gosh,
that,
I was in high
so
school.
20 years ago, so 2 decades ago, when you would first hear this song and you'd hear the media, I feel like at the time you had to unpack that and hear what else he had to say first, because you'd be like, what media? There's a couple medias. Nowadays, you say the media, you mean the lame stream news, right? So it's just, it feels a little weird. It's like, but this is what I was talking about with the comparison to Operation, is that the lyrics in Operation are so quarter baked, and it's like this song basically needed to be chucked out, or you needed to take some of the better lines out of Operation and put them in a better song. Here, What's All Been Done Before, all the lyrical changes kind of require you to unpack them and work to follow what he's saying. Like, it's not, and I don't think deliberately, unlike, the song where, the top of the song, he's like, I want to stretch your minds. I don't think that this song kind of deliberately is wordy to stretch your mind. I think it's wordy because he had a lot to say and a short time to say it, and he kind of lost his way a little bit. When he starts out saying, guys like me try to innovate and it doesn't work out. And then the next line he's talking about, because the media wants you to like things. Like, I see the connective thread between those ideas, but the way it's presented in the song just sounds really haphazard. As haphazard as I sound when I'm trying to talk about things like this.
So we have the pre-chorus again, because we're all getting tired of the media. Then the chorus, what's all been done before. Then we get to the bridge. Originality is a ghost town, and it's oh so hard to get to. And when you do, then people start to hate you.
This is acrobatics right here. Like this.
But there is a such thing as originality. I swear.
This is acrobatics.
I'm here and people hate
There's
me.
so much going on in those 3 lines, and I understand everything he's saying, but I'm just like, it's such a journey, and not in a good way to get it. Originality is a ghost town. And I'm like, oh, okay, and it's hard to get to. Oh, okay, it's hard to get. It's not enough that it's a ghost town. It's also hard to get to. Okay, and when you get there, people hate you. Oh, okay, I don't understand. Well, if it's a ghost town and no one can get there, then how do they know they hate you? How do they know you're there if no one's there to know you're there? And how do people know it's a ghost town if it's hard to get to and they don't get there? Because like ghost towns are usually like available, like areas that you can access that just no one's around and it's spooky. Like a ghost town usually isn't like a secluded, hard to get to area. So I feel like it's not quite mixed metaphors, but they're metaphors that just aren't connecting in the ways that he wants them to. And I really feel like this song just kind of teeters on a maturity, but it just doesn't quite get there. Like, he's trying to talk about a mature subject matter. He's trying to talk about something that does matter. Like, I think what he's trying to talk about kind of matters. It matters for audiences. It matters for artists. It matters for the media. It matters for, like, the engines that get us our music and our artwork and stuff. Like, the idea of originality or just copycat stuff or just, like, studios and streaming services sending out word of like, we won't even greenlight your show unless you have like a name attached. Like, don't even bother pitching it to us. We're not here for ideas right now. Those don't sell, like, we don't want ideas. We want, we want names. And like in 2023, you think people care about names in a show? Nobody cares about movie stars. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, the biggest shows, like, nobody on Stranger Things was anybody when Stranger Things started. Nobody on Wednesday. I mean, Tim. Okay, a couple of people on Wednesday.
I was gonna say, like, Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah, but Wednesday herself was not a big name.
I thought she was. Wasn't she some, like, teen star or something?
Probably. Okay, Wednesday's a bad example. Wednesday's probably the reason why everything on a streaming service has to be a name now. Whatever. I lost track of what was trying to say because
Orphan Black was popular. There was nobody really known on that. Orange is the New Black didn't have a ton of names on that show.
It had Jason Biggs. He was such a star they had to fire him for mysterious reasons.
Because you scream what you believe out loud in a crowd.
Ah!
People will hate you. Because repetition's just so safe. Repetition's just like prison. And I prefer to be out of place because I'm really not into prison.
See,
who is?
What? Like these are lyrics that kind of make sense the first time you hear them, but the more and more you hear them, you're like, repetition's just so safe. Okay. Repetition's just like prison. Oh, okay. Well, I don't like prison. I'm not into prison. Oh, okay. Like these are all like sound lyrical ideas, but they just really, the connective tissue isn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe he just wasn't at that point yet where he was ready to really express this. This is maybe you sit this one aside and come back to it.
No, but yeah, that could be true. But I do feel like this was, like, because when I compare this to Operation, I feel like this is a way more successful experiment than Operation was. I feel like, yeah, this is like he didn't have everything lyrically ready for this song, but he kind of did. Like, I can't say that this needs another draft. Like,
I can.
No, I know what you mean. Like, it could connect. These ideas could be reworked to connect. You'd have to throw out. You'd have to basically, like, how do you say this? Like a sandwich. Like, you either throw out the bread and keep the meat, or you throw out the meat and keep the bread. Like, it's one or the other. Like, you either keep the opening section and rework the back half, or you keep the back half and you rework the first section.
I think you rework the whole thing.
I suppose so, but I just feel like this is a more successful failure than, you know, and good for Relient K and Matt Thiessen that I don't feel like we have a lot of songs like this to say that this is a successful failure or this is a failure. I really don't feel like we feel that way. I mean, I think we see a lot of Relient K with rose-colored glasses, but in this case, I'm really torn. I really feel like he hit the dartboard, but he didn't come close to the bullseye. But he got some points. He hit the bullseye. I think Operation, the dart hit the wall. Like, it wasn't even close. And I'm just obsessed with Operation because I feel like it's the closest thing I have to compare it to. Like, I don't think I can think of another song that's like a lyrical, like, what?
Right.
In this way. Because even, like, abstract songs and songs that don't seem to be about much of anything, from All Work and No Play, like Be Rad, like, that's still just such a fun song and it doesn't matter what he's singing. But here you can tell he's trying to say something important. And in each individual section, he's saying something important. But it's like an essay that he didn't edit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, every paragraph means something, but each paragraph to each paragraph are coming together. And again, it's like me trying to explain this stuff in an extemporaneous manner on a podcast.
So we get the chorus again, then the pre-chorus, and then the outro. Wit's all been done before. Yeah, we do something to death, and then we dig it up just to do it some more.
Ooh, that's my motto.
Wit's all been done before. Yeah, we do something to death, and then we dig it up just to do it some more. Because, you know, there's nothing beats a dead horse like beating one. What is that? There's nothing worse than beating a dead horse than betting on one. Why can I not get this?
The only thing worse than beating a dead horse is betting on one.
Thank you. And with that, we're going to take our break, and we'll come back with a very short deep dive, and then whatever Danny has for YouTube. Thank you so much for listening to Sadie Hawkins Pod. If you want to join the conversation, please contact us with thoughts on this episode, your corrections, and your Relient K memories at our voicemail line, 402-95-SADIE. or send an email to sadiehawkinspod@gmail.com.
You can also visit our socials. Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok are all at Sadie Hawkins Pod, where you can see the visuals we discuss on the podcast each week.
You can also visit sadiehawkinspod.com for easy access to all these links, as well as our merch store for shirts, mugs, and stickers. And on Facebook, search for Sadie Hawkins Group to discuss our show and Relient K. It's admin by Danny, so honestly, you can probably post almost anything there.
We also want to thank our patrons at patreon.com/SadieHawkinsPod, who include Samantha, Matthew, Bjorn, Emily, Isaac, Kendall, Joshua, Daniel, Jay, Joel, Connor, Michael, Samantha, Jimmy Eat Pod, This Might Be a Podcast, Tucker, and Brady.
Join our Patreon now for 2 monthly bonus episodes. Unlock dozens of existing bonus eps, including K is for Karaoke songs, every chapter of the complex infrastructure known as the Female Mind Book, stickers, guitar picks, and a special Patreon exclusive shirt when you have donated a lifetime contribution of $60.
Whether you join the Patreon or not, we appreciate that you have a lot of choices for podcasts out there in the world, so it's nice that you chose us.
Thanks. So we have song meetings this week, and that's it.
Oh, okay. I'm on song meetings right now because that's
there
the
you
only
go.
place I could find the lyrics.
Well, they were up on Genius.
Now look, now that you're there, because we're all getting tired of the media. Bridge 30 seconds into the song?
I love that it's like January 2nd, 2005. General comment from SNESSK, Snick, I guess. I agree. La Fonda on January 22nd, 2005 said, indeed. Clutter
gosh,
on September 5th, 2006 said, same here. XAQ27 on November 13th, 2007 said, what does wits mean anyway?
And there's a reply to that from Deeper Meanings 15 that says, wit is another word for cleverness or originality. So he is saying, we just keep doing the same things over and over again, so we don't have to risk doing anything that's new or different. Now, let me actually look up the definition of the word wit. Because is it a synonym for words like that, or is it actually have a slightly different meaning? Wit, the natural ability to preserve and understand.
Well, there's got to be a second definition.
Just preserve. Sorry. Just leave that in. Whatever. Wit's all been done. Wit, the natural ability to perceive and understand. See, I did not perceive that word correctly. So wit is just basically like...
Is there not a second definition?
There is. Practical intelligence, shrewdness, or resourcefulness.
Like clever, yeah.
Sound mental facilities, sanity. The ability to express oneself intelligently. Well, what's never been done before, from my case. In a playful or humorous manner, often in an overturning audience expectation. So interesting to see what I feel like is the most common use of the word wit. In this case, from WordNick, the American Heritage Dictionary, 5th edition. What I think most people would think of the word wit as like wittiness, cleverness to an audience. That's the 4th definition, according to this particular dictionary that comes up from DuckDuckGo. That's what I use to search this.
Oh, so you're not even on like dictionary.com?
Yeah, but the first definition is a natural ability to perceive and understand, intelligence, just like a mental resourcefulness, just like you see things, it's not about what you say and how you come across and are you original. Like, it doesn't seem like wit is actually a synonym for originality or direct artistic cleverness. Wit is just like you are an astute, observant, intelligent person. That's all wit really means. And I guess that then manifests itself through artistic cleverness. But, you have to start with wit before you become artistically clever. wit itself, at least according to this particular definition I see, wit itself is not the artistic cleverness.
Sure. Golden_child on November 24th, 2007 said, "Wit, it's a play on the saying, it's all been done before. Basically, the song is saying that all the commercials and media and stuff try to be witty, but they aren't very original."
I don't think he's necessarily... Well, yeah, he is probably saying that. He's not necessarily... That's not the thrust of the song. He's not saying commercials and television and stuff try to be original, but they fail. He's saying everybody does. He points his finger at himself a bunch in this song, and he says, like, he's basically saying, I want to write music that's going to challenge you, and I want to write music that's going to be interesting and expand your mind, but I can't do it because I'm stuck in this mold that I'm in. That's what he's really talking about.
Brem on July 31st, 2008 said, "This song is about becoming yourself and not conforming to the things you see in the popular media." Amy O on...
I can agree with that.
Amy O on January
That's
1st, 2009 said, "Ingenious." And then Mactor on August 9th, 2014 said, "There's nothing new under the sun" is a fairly constant refrain from Ecclesiastes, a book from the Old Testament.
I think you'll find it's from Song of Solomon.
And that's what I've got. I don't know if you found any live performances, but I did not get like Setlist FM listings come up.
No, there's
this week
definitely
for
nothing.
Deep Dive.
There's definitely nothing live for this song. I do think it's like musically, it's fun. Musically, it's a Blink-182 song. It's a skate punk song. It's also not just a Blink-182 song. Like this is this particular sound that people associate with Blink-182. What does that come? It's like that's really like Blink-182 ripping off like Big Drill Car and stuff. Like sort of the basis of Blink-182 comes from other skate punk. So this is based off of this is a fun skate punk like song with a rather erratic scattershot message that clearly is trying to say something. And it's a successful failure in my book. This isn't the wrap up, but I'm just saying that to say that Relient K clearly had no intention of necessarily playing this song live. Like this is just some filler material. This was a chance at doing something. I feel like it's pretty likely that they recorded the song to try to put on the album and realize it didn't work out. Throw it to the EP. No plan to play it live because they never did. I couldn't find any proof that they played it live. And in fact, there's only one video I found that directly ties in to What's All Been Done Before. And it's a cover artist on YouTube that we've all been talking about before. Here he is once again. It's the Bobby Moon.
Oh, nice. Bobby!
And I've noticed over the years that Bobby Moon has a number of different accounts. I don't know if he gets locked out of them or something, but this one is on the Intimate Destruction YouTube channel from only 4 years ago, around the time we started this podcast.
Oh, wow. Wait, we started this podcast 4 years ago?
No, we started 2019.
I was going to say.
I keep forgetting. We're in our 4th year. We started the podcast about 3 years and a couple months ago. We're in the 4th year. So this was recorded about a year before we started the podcast.
Was it good? Innovate, try to stretch your mind. Sometimes, girls like me, nothing leaves held behind. Been a mess, or to impress a little bit of everyone. To innovate, is a mistake, cause there's something new under the sun. Cause we're all getting tired of the media, and it tries to bother me. It's like something, and we're all getting tired of the media. It means something new, and to recycle it. What's all been done before? And we take some things in time, and we do it up, try to do it some more.
And that's only half the cover.
I love the mushroom art behind him. It's good stuff.
I love his sunglasses and his haircut. This is fantastic. I love it.
But now it's all dead ends. And I'm not sure clever words will civil with my friends. And I'm not just sit and watch and let the victim fall. I love it too. Oh my goodness, too. Now I
Well, look at some too. I love it. Shoehorning the God part in. We didn't even talk about the God part, but it's funny that like in this song there is that line about like I'll just do what my God tells me to. Good for you. It just doesn't feel like the song itself is a Christian song. It's a song about artistic.
Is it not gut? Because that's what it's listed as on Genius.
Oh my gosh, is it really say that?
Yes.
Wow. I always thought he was saying I'll just do what my God tells me to. I just assumed...
Maybe it is, but I'm just telling you what it was listed as on Genius. I read over it just a little bit ago.
I'll just have to do what my gut tells me to. And I'll just have to do what my gut tells me to.
I guess it's gut. That's so funny. I wasn't even paying attention when you read the lyric like 20 minutes ago, but I guess it's what my gut tells me to. But leave it to me to be like, no, it's the reference to God, to not try to remove the reference to God. But I always thought he was saying, I'll just do what my God tells me to. Like, I'll just do what I'm called to do.
It would make sense.
Both make sense because the song itself is about an artist feeling lost and uncertain if he'll ever say anything worth saying. I think that's what the song's really about. I think the other stuff about the media and how it's about the media tries to make you be something, I think that's another theme of it. But ultimately, I think the song is about an artist who feels lost and doesn't know if he has anything worth saying. So to say, I'll just do what my gut tells me to, that makes sense. But then I always just thought he was saying, I'll just do what my God tells me to. Especially because I had read interviews in the first 3 gears of the band at the time that they considered themselves to be a mission. That they were doing this to help get people saved. Now, whether or not they fully believe, and then they kind of stopped doing that around the time of. So I was like, well, it makes sense that they would do what their God tells them to. Their God tells them to just keep doing it, keep be in this band because you're out there for a mission. But wow, I'm shaken to my core. My faith is shattered. Will I pass this test in my faith where I thought that the song What's All Been Done Before was a Christian song, and it turns out no, it's just a secular song about complaining about the media? Secular songs can complain about how the media just tries to get you to like things. That's not a Christian specific theme. Yeah, you and your church community, they're like, don't listen to the media, don't watch movies, they just want to fill your heart with sin. People in the world itself feel the same way about the media. That's why they have parents' guides that have no religious affiliation. Anyway,
Are you enjoying playing with those new stickers, those hot off the presses Sadie Hawkins Spot stickers?
Patreon.com/Sadie Hawkins Spot. I mentioned this at the top of the show when we talk about how we're going to be guaranteeing that we have more Patreon episodes. But I bought new stickers with our new yellow and baby blue logo. Baby blue. Because we're having a baby. Yeah. Well, you know what I realized is so I got tired. I didn't talk about the new design of the new logo, but I got tired after a while because originally
You got tired of the media.
I got tired of the media on social media and our icon and our avatar. I got tired of seeing the plain old white on the plain old sort of deeper blue. I don't know what you'd call our original blue. I got tired of that. And I was like, I want to change it up. So I got I created this sort of like construction paper background. I created that bitmap myself out of some Photoshop tools. Used like a baby blue background. Used the yellow font. Same font we always had. I brought the letters in closer to each other. And then I put them at a slant. Because I realized the original Relient K Cooper font. This is the Cooper font, which is famous as the Beach Boys used it. When Relient K put the Cooper font on 2 lefts, they had it at a slight incline. I'm like, our logo all this time should have had a slight incline. So I put it on a slight incline. Well, when you print these on a sticker, like, you don't know you're supposed to turn it a little bit. It's because it's just a round sticker. So you could just put this down and stick it on something and have it be level with the ground. So there's no way to tell. You're supposed to turn it at a slight, like, 4-degree angle. Anyway, speaking of, before we get into the last segment of the episode, there's something else we should have mentioned. Speaking of our logo, someone out there, you know, if we're taking a little bit, if we're going to be doing half the regular episodes that we used to do, someone else out there, other than Josh, other than Reliable J, could pick up the slack for us, and that's whoever Dan Bacaitis Pod is.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Speaking of our logo, somebody out there finally, after all these years, created a Twitter alt, like to troll us. They called it Dan Bacaitis Pod. They took our logo, our newer logo, the yellow and baby blue construction paper one, and they created Dan Bacaitis Pod out of that. And then they just tweet at us with jokes. They don't even tweet at us. They just they subtweet us with jokes that relate to our podcast.
Danny was reading me some. Some of them are really deep, like inside the pod.
Yeah. So I'm like, so Jessica, we're not going to say who we think it could be because I'm sure we'll be wrong. And I don't want to be wrong if they're out there listening, but we know you're out there. And unless this is some sort of long con where you get comfortable with us, you were waiting for us to mention you on the show, and now you're going to start tweeting really awful stuff at us. But yeah, you know, because we started this podcast as partially inspired by Blink-155 because I was tied in with that community, and I made friends. And, you know, we met David Park through that community of listeners to Blink-155. And the thing on Blink-155 in the fan community of that podcast was to create, like, crazy Twitter fan accounts off of weird themes. Like, I had Blink-155 sucks. And I had Blink-155 please play this one Blink-182, please talk about this one Blink-182 song that's about helicopters. So I just had to tweet about helicopters all the time. People had, like, I didn't have these ones. People had, like, Blink-155 piss and just, like, jokes about pee and Blink-155. There were, like, tons and tons of them. It's been years, and nobody had a joke account about us. Relient K has joke accounts about them. Matt Thiessen's hair, Schneck's beard, Hoops' shoes, Ethan's nose, like, whatever. Like,
well,
there's a
now
million.
we are finally among those prestigious ranks.
Right. So we finally got a real troll fan account.
I love it. I logged on to Twitter just to follow.
Let me read some of their tweets before we get to the last section.
They don't even follow me, by the way, because they know enough to know that I'm not on Twitter right now.
Oh, they just posted some new stuff 3 hours ago.
Oh my goodness.
They posted the cover of Relient K, the self-titled album, as if it was a Game Boy Color game.
That's awesome. I love it. So they're oh my gosh, Danny, they're going to take away your job as the meme maker, the Relient K meme maker.
You're right, they are.
Uh-oh.
Well, I'm going to retweet the one that's Relient K and Knuckles. And it's Knuckles. Why is Knuckles on a Game Boy game?
Oh man, you clearly know the way to Danny's heart. Put a Sonic thing on it.
Dan Bacaitis Pod tweeted, someone, this is like a little back and forth between a character called someone and what am I trying to say? This is a dialogue between someone and me. Someone, do you want to go to a Christian concert with me? Me, sure, smiley face. Someone, do you want to see a Christian movie with me? Me, puke face, puke face, puke face.
Well, sadly not inaccurate, like...
And Dan Bacaitis Pod just posted a picture of a May the Horse Be With You t-shirt that has nothing to do with 9K.
The song May the Horse Be With You has something to do with Relient K.
Congratulations, Dan Bacaitis Pod tweeted around Christmas, and I missed this one. Congratulations to @Relient K, they mentioned Relient K, for being one of the only Christian bands to not use the shipwreck ocean storm imagery in their songs about Jesus. I don't think that's something we've ever said. That's
Nope.
a Dan Bacchitis pod original, but it's pretty true.
See, this started off as like why are you not bringing it back to us? There's not nearly enough Sadie Hawkins pod content, I must say.
What do you think of Forget and Not Slow Down? It's good, but I don't know why track 12 is a Justin Bieber cover. Because we talked about how the lyric sites and some of the shifty MP3 sites would have the wrong baby uploaded. Mad Hoops is slowly turning me into a pedophile.
We don't say that one.
I know we don't. That was your joke, and I was the one who was blushing. For folks new to Relient K, I recommend skipping the Bird and the B-sides. It's just 2 EPs that don't really matter. See, they know my theory. Whoever this is paying attention and knows my theory that the Nashville, Tennessee EP is a prequel to Forget and Not Slow Down.
Right.
A direct prequel to the story of Forget and Not Slow Down with some filler songs mixed in. Why do all the songs on Forget and Not Slow Down have to be about chicks? That's a quote I've directly said ironically because people have said it online unironically. So yeah, so someone out there, Dan Bacchitis pod is creeping up, and before you know it, there'll be a feed, there'll be episodes.
Oh my
Whoever it
goodness.
is, they can put a vocoder on their voice, so we can't tell who they are. I'm Dan Bacchitis pod. Anyway, so we don't have any other covers other than Bobby Moon. So I pulled.
Wow.
So
I'm kind of
that's
surprised.
it. That's it. So I was like, well, since we don't have anything else, why don't we, and, Wit's all been done before, why don't we just do a couple of songs that we've done before? So I pulled a bunch of Relient K songs that we've already talked about, and these are covers that have come out over the last year.
Oh, wow.
So these are
okay.
covers that we probably didn't talk about when we did these songs, because these covers weren't on YouTube at the time. So here's a cover of Be My Escape by Steven Rubinsky. This is Be My Escape unfinished cover. It says it's unfinished, but it's 3 minutes long. So I don't know. I guess that might mean some tracks are missing. Let's check this out.
Giving up slowly, I'm blending in so you won't even know me. Apart from this whole world that shares my fate. This one last bullet you mentioned, it's my one last shot at redemption. Cause I know to live you must give your life away. I've been housing all this doubt and insecurity, and I've been
super nice. I love the
Very
tone
nice,
on this.
yeah.
Yeah, I felt a little shaky. There was some atonal feeling in that first, like, what was that? Was that even a ukulele or just like a really highly pitched guitar? Like,
Oh, it just sounds like a guitar to me.
yeah,
I
it
could be
was
wrong.
a little atonal at the beginning, but then it got really sweet and deep there, and it just feels deep, feels nice. Not emotionally or thematically deep. It's the same song. I mean, like, there's a bassiness to it. I like it. Well, here's another cover that we have done before. This is a big one that came out a little while ago. This is Another Be My Escape by Alex Melton. Everyone was talking about this when this came out. Alex Melton does covers on YouTube, probably does other stuff. I'm not familiar with him until this came out, but a lot of people were already familiar with him. And this is his country style cover of Be My Escape. A lot of build-up in this country version. Mm-hmm. Now, I'll say that when Alex Melton posted this a couple months ago, how long ago? 2 months ago? The video is called Relient K Goes Country? I'm like, have you not heard Bird and the B-Sides? I think there's 2 country songs on there. And in fact, we joked about the fact that like Google has it tagged as a country album.
I'm giving up slowly. I'm blending in so you won't even know me. Apart from this world that shares my fate. This one last bullet you mentioned.
It's not. Is this country? I mean, I guess it is. It's got slide guitar in it,
Right.
But I feel like if you took that slide guitar out, it could just be like a nice folksy album, a nice folksy cover. Is this? I'm not expecting it to be radio pop country, but it's not as country-ish as I expected. I listened to it at the time. 2 months later, I'm listening to it with fresh ears, and I'm like, wait, this isn't as country as it felt originally. Let's skip about 3 minutes in. It's a 6-minute version. Maybe there's a bunch of tags at the end of the YouTube video.
Might be the death of me, and even though there's no way of knowing where to go, I promise I'm going because I gotta get out of here.
The vocals are country.
Yeah, the vocals are country. It's
That's
a
nice,
very
it's pretty.
light. It's a lightly country cover, to be honest. It could be more countrified. More countrified. It's a weird word that I just tried to make up.
Light country is how I prefer my country. I'd prefer no country at all, but you know.
This is no country for countrymen. So here we'll just do a couple more. This is Lower Ground with a song we've already covered called High of 75. This is the cover of High of 75 by Lower Ground. Oh man, I was looking
really
for
thought they were gonna go raw.
Yeah, I was so excited. I've said it. I want hardcore punk covers of Relient K songs. We've only found a couple shreds of that idea over the years,
You're
and
gonna have
we
to do it
almost
yourself,
got
Dan.
it. Man, and you can take hardcore however you want. You could do the metalcore thing. You could do the 2000s hardcore. You could do the I'd die for my crew. Like here in New York, I got my tattoos and my bros and my whiskey. You could do that kind of hardcore. You could do 80s hardcore, but I want hardcore punk full cover album of Relient K. Ultimately, it'd be awesome if it was like, you know, every different style of hardcore punk in a different cover of Relient K. That would be amazing. Well, this is cool, but like the vocals are normal and that's nice. It's nice, but I wanted the vocals to kind of match the aggression of what we heard at the beginning of the song there.
Of 75, since you took my heavy heart and made it light. And it's funny how you find you enjoy your life when you're happy to be alive. And the temperature is freezing, and then after dark.
I guess
You
this
kind of lost me there.
I guess this is some of that easy core that I always hear about that I have technically listened to but never knew it was called
I was
easy core.
vibing up until that bit.
They're doing stuff. They're kind of a hardcore band with the more pop punk vocals. That's fine. I mean, that's cool. I like that they did that, but I was hoping for something slightly different. So here's the second to last cover. Here's another cover. This is you heard it there for a second. This is Bummin' by Dudley Do Wrong.
Nice.
Let's see if he does wrong. Let's see if he does Bummin' Wrong, and then we'll end with one more song after this.
You can have my life, I'm sad. You can have the beat of my heart. You can be my light, pizzazz. You can be my spark in the dark. But if I'm out there acting the bum, I'll become one. So no more frigid nights in the cold. I would fall asleep on the lawn till the sun rose. 14 karat gold. You can have my life, I'm
awesome.
Nice.
I love that. Is Bummin' my favorite Relient K song?
Is it?
I don't know.
Were you jamming?
I feel like Bummin' is like a song that you almost can't cover badly, like because it's so
a great song.
simple and perfect. I watched this YouTube video about Melt With You. I'll stop the world and melt with you. That's like actually one of the simplest songs in the world, but it feels complex. It feels big, but like there's barely any notes in it. And how it's like nobody can do a bad cover of it because the register is also really simple for almost any singer. So I'm like, is Bummin' a song that you can't cover badly? Here is the last cover. I lost it. Where did it go? Same album, Air for Free instrumental cover. So Jessica, while we chill out to some cool beats to study to and our Air for Free, and we reflect on the fact that Wit has all been done before, what do you think of the song Wit's All Been Done Before by Relient K? Do you like it more, less, or the same than before we covered it this week?
I like it a bit less.
I also kind of like it a little bit less, although musically it's pretty solid. It's just like, I've said it. I said it all before in the episode. You can go back and listen to it again and again and again, like I know Dan Bacchitis Pod does, listens to the same episodes over and over. Yeah.
We all know that if there's one thing Danny loves more than beating a dead horse, it's betting on one.
That makes me sad. Poor dead horse.
That makes me very sad, too.
That's the saddest Relient K song. Forget Sahara. The lion in Sahara was prideful. So now he's in the desert and he's dying. What did the horse do? He just wanted to say...
Relient K has a bad history with horses, to be fair.
Well, we leave you on that. So we will be back in 2 weeks talking about something. What do you want to talk about next week?
Oh, I don't know.
Next 2 weeks.
We have to go over the list.
We'll go over the list. Maybe now that we have 2 weeks to prepare episodes, we can give you more of a heads up on what we're going to do next week. My cape is stuck in a phone booth.
Sure, why not? Let's do it.
Or should we wait until some superhero movie comes out to do that one?
No, you never know how long that's gonna take. Oh, I guess there's always Marvel.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I didn't say this Air for Free instrumental cover is by Mailman108. Thank you, Mailman, for carrying us to the end of this episode.
Thanks so much for listening. Have a great week.
It's so chill. I'm going to put this on your belly. This will be our kids' first introduction to Relient K is through covers.